somehow when the Cyrus was supporting Jewish people, we are from the same roots and we are Iranian, so we are doing the same. Also, Israel from long time ago, it was Iran's best friend and good ally. So I'm as a actual patriot from Iran. So I believe to this friendship and I want it back. So we are here. When you guys have a pain, we have a pain too.
Well, I'm not only a Canadian, but I'm also an Israeli citizen. I spent my first 10 years in Israel. I have a family member, a cousin, and her husband who are killed in Israel.
I'm so sorry.
They know that their three youngest children have survived, but their oldest is also confirmed dead. And when I really think about it, it's important that we all come together, stand up for Israel, speak for peace. Also let Israel know that they're not alone, that Canada stands with them, solid as a rock, as I would say, solid as the rocks that Jerusalem and Israel sits on. Also to speak up for truth and that let people know that Israel has the right to defend itself. We don't, as Israelis, we don't want to have war. We don't want to kill people. We don't, it doesn't give us any pleasure to have to go and have a war where we're killing other people. All we want to do is live in peace.
Members of Vancouver's Jewish and Persian community and local politicians gathered together in solidarity for Israel on Tuesday. Rebel News was on site to show you what happened. Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, and on Tuesday, well over 2,000 people, including some proudly waving Iranian flags, gathered at Vancouver's Jackpool Plaza for a Stand With Us community and solidarity gathering for Israel. The rally, which was organized by Vancouver's Jewish Federation, Canadian Jewish Advocacy, and the Rabbinical Association of Vancouver, also attracted politicians like Vancouver's Mayor Ken Sim, as well as leader of the official opposition party, BC United's Kevin Falcon. They all condemned the Hamas terror attack on Israel that, as it stands, has reported claimed the lives of over 1,200 Israeli people, mostly civilians. That's women, children, and elderly included. The rally was a stark contrast to that of some that have been happening across the country, including one that happened over the long weekend in the city's core at the Vancouver Art Gallery, where pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas protesters not only failed at condemning the horrific attack, instead they shamed and condemned politicians who had. Vancouver's Jewish community is especially heartbroken after learning at least one of their very own lives had been taken. 22-year-old Ben Mizrahi, a Vancouver man who proudly served in the Israeli Defense Forces, was reportedly one of hundreds of young lives gunned down by Hamas terrorists while attending a music festival in southern Israel. In this report, you'll hear from protesters, including a friend of the Mizrahi family. And when you're done, you can head to our special website called thetruthaboutthewar.com, where my colleague Avi Yamini has his boots on the ground inside of Israel to bring you reports on this war that you won't hear on the mainstream media.
What happened this weekend in Israel was absolutely horrific. Make no mistake about it. The stuff that happened, the terror that happened, they weren't about Palestinian rights or human rights. They were incredibly horrendous acts of evil and brutality. And there is absolutely no justification for the abduction, for the rape, and for the murder of innocent civilians. Make no mistake about it, Hamas is a terrorist organization, full stop. Now's the time that we must all stand together, united, in supporting the victims and their families and their friends. And it's just so heartbreaking to hear about Ben Mizrahi.
It's important for us to support our brothers and sisters back in Israel because what happened there is just unbelievable. It's a terrorist group that breached our borders and slaughters our brothers, our sisters, our families. And so we must be here and everywhere around the world to show the support.
It's not about politics, it's not about religion, it's just about humanity. And to be here and to show that, I think it's my duty as a person, not only as a Jewish person.
about the Cyrus Accords. Somehow when the Cyrus was supporting Jewish people, we are from the same roots and we are Iranian, so we are doing the same. Also, Israel from long time ago, it was Iran's best friend and good ally. So I'm as a actual patriot from Iran. So I believe to this friendship and I want it back. So we are here. When you guys have a pain, we have a pain too.
Clearly, after all the atrocities that happened in Israel, things that we've never seen in the history of our country ever, probably ever since the Holocaust, with, I don't know how much I can elaborate, but with massacre of innocent people, rape of women, killing of children, killing of entire families. We just had to be here. We had to show solidarity. We had to come as people.
Well, I'm not only a Canadian, but I'm also an Israeli citizen. I spent my first 10 years in Israel. I have a family member, a cousin, and her husband who were killed in Israel.
I'm so sorry.
They know that their three youngest children have survived, but their oldest is also confirmed dead. And when I really think about it, it's important that we all come together, stand up for Israel, speak for peace. Also let Israel know that they're not alone, that Canada stands with them, solid as a rock, as I would say, solid as the rocks that Jerusalem and Israel sits on. Also to speak up for truth and that let people know that Israel has the right to defend itself. We don't, as Israelis, we don't want to have war. We don't want to kill people. We don't, it doesn't give us any pleasure to have to go and have a war where we're killing other people. All we want to do is live in peace. And even from 1948, the War of Independence, our hand was always held out for peace. And thankfully, the Egyptian king, King Hussein, came to a sense as he had peace. Anwar Sadat also made peace with Israel. I think it's also because they were tired of seeing their own people come back in body bags, children who have no fathers, sometimes even mothers getting killed, women being widows, people losing their sons. It doesn't, I feel just as bad when you have enemy combatants who are killed as, with Israeli soldiers. But when you look at the terrorists who committed these atrocities, as angry as I am what they've done, I have no hatred toward their children, no hatred toward them. I just want to see people be held accountable for the crimes they've committed, and I want people to live in peace.
The world is complicated. I understand the Palestinians like to have a place of their own and have a peaceful life and go to schools and go to have all the normal life that everybody wants, and we want them to have it too. The Hamas and other religious organizations are more into separation and more into evil and badness, and you can see it in other places of the world. So in my head, we separate the two, and we're trying to be more into the Hamas and what they're doing and fighting them. And also, if you saw in this demonstration, there were also Iranians that are standing together, similar cause. We all want to have peaceful life, and we're interested in having kids. I'm a father too, and I want my kids to enjoy and have good time and be able to travel free in the Middle East and enjoy all the beautiful that are there.
It's very important for Israel to be there for each other. We are very united. We are very... Right now, my brother, for example, in Israel right now, nobody is going to work. Everybody is packing food, donate money. They donate money for buying a ceramic vest to protect. My brother is a costume maker in Israel. He's making all the costume for the Masked Singer in Israel or for the Big Brother for big TV production. In the first day for the war, he went and he volunteered of cooking for soldiers. Second day, he went to volunteer wrapping the food boxes and sending to the Gaza Strip area, like to the soldier. And now what does he do? Is he just collecting money. He went to a... Sorry, I'm emotional. He went to a factory where they make ceramic... can you help me with the English? Ceramic shields, yes. Against bulletproof shields. A vest, that's the word. Vest, and there was missing two sewing machine. So there was one donor bought two sewing machines. They start to sew it. Now we collect more money for the stuff that you put inside. And he is helping there to sew it. Everybody's for everybody. Am Yisrael Chai.
Free, free Palestine! Shame on all the imperialist powers like like the US, Canada, the EU, India, and others. Shame on every single political party in Canada, including the PCNDP, whose anti-Palestinian statements will not go unchallenged. Shame on the NDP. Freedom for all colonized people everywhere is what brings us together today.
We tried to talk about it yesterday as well. It's unbelievable that in a country like this, like Canada, and you know what happened also in Australia and other places, that the government allowing this to happen. These people that coming and supporting Gaza or supporting Hamas, they're basically cheering for those crazy violent acts that happened in Israel. It's just not the right time and not the right place to support Hamas. So what they did is unbelievable and should never happen. And it will never happen again because we are here and we're going to win. We're going to win here and in Israel and everywhere we are.
I'm not surprised, unfortunately. I understand their point of view of the Palestinian. I understand their struggle. I wish the world would be a better place, and I wish they have a better condition than what they have. And but with that, the government in Gaza doesn't represent, I hope, doesn't represent the people that are there. I hope it represents the more demonic, the more evil, the more bad sides of the fundamentalistic religious side of them. So yeah.
That's a good question, actually. Not really. I'm not supporting who are the terrorists and who are doing the terrorist actions. So I know Hamas is a terrorist group, and obviously Iran's regime is a terrorist country, terrorist government who are controlling our country, and we wanted to be safe in Middle East, and we wanted to save for everyone. So if Iran is free, everyone in Middle East is free.
I was there yesterday, and you had people shouting out, accusing us of being murderers, killing babies, saying that, they were yelling out some horrible things. And, we had people from, the Jewish community, people from outside the Jewish community, people from the Persian community who stood in solidarity with us. Because just like, we want freedom in Israel and peace, we also want freedom for the people of Iran, and especially all the women who need to live like human beings. And a lot of the Palestinian protesters, they were celebrating, almost like yelling at us, like we somehow brought this on. We didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for Hamas or invite them to come over to kill our people. We didn't ask, say, let's sacrifice our people for Hamas. We didn't ask for this. And so for people to celebrate the death and the demise of innocent people, it's sick. There's nothing good that comes out of, like when you see people being killed, babies and women and children and women being raped and horrible things happening. That's not to celebrate. So when you have people who look at this and then they blame us like we're the perpetrators, it's really unfair. We have the right to defend ourselves, but we don't want to send our soldiers to have to kill people.
I always see them say free Palestine, but this free Palestine is those people, they're controlled by Hamas. They grew up since a very young age brainwashed, okay? They know nothing other than evilness. Even I saw this video of this little kid that they torturing him, and he looked just like my nephew. It was killing my heart inside, and the world was not believing for us for a long time. We experienced in a really young age. For us as an Israeli, I know that we are very, very ethic military. When they shoot missiles on us, and they usually do it from a civilian area like hospital, kindergarten, schools. They do it from area that where civilian people live. Because if we attack it back, it's look like we don't look good in the news. So what Israel do, they put flyers or they tell all Gaza, the people, you should go hide in this area because in this time we will bomb this specific place because this place have a lot of weapons in it that goes against Israel. So a lot of people need to know it. If we attack those missiles, if we attack those places, we attack it because there is a lot of weapon in there and they shoot missiles on us from those area. But we always, if it's even a civilian area that we attack, we always let the people know to get out of there. If it was them, no, they just shoot and kill. It doesn't matter where they. Just today we find out 40 babies been slaughtered. Some of them with the head completely chopped. Some of them been died in the crib with a bullet. It's insane. It's like a Holocaust 2023.
Of Ben Mizrahi and his family, and sadness and grief. I'm standing here today as the father of a young man who is currently in Jerusalem. I'm standing here today as the child of Holocaust survivors who never met his grandparents or aunts or uncles because they were murdered as children because of anti-Semitism. Never would I have imagined again in my life that we would see 40 children, 40 babies in one day discovered who were murdered in cold blood because of anti-Semitism. Never would I have imagined in my life that we would see almost 1,000 Jews in one day murdered because of anti-Semitism. Throughout the day I've been asked, what is this moment about? This moment today together as one people, one community, Jews and non-Jews, is gathered together for solidarity.
Now, close to 1,000 Israelis have died. That's the count that we know for now. Have any of your family members or friends been directly affected by the attack?
Yeah, so unfortunately, because Israel is so tiny, 1,000 people, you compare that to 9/11, we are 36 times smaller than the United States. Every person in Israel knows someone who lost somebody. If our Facebook pages, ever since that incident, is just full of friends missing their families, missing their loved ones, who were either killed or kidnapped. No one knows what's happening with them. It's been very difficult. We all experience that. We all know someone. It's not, it's a very small country at the end of the day, and it just affects us, all of us.
I just want to mention my parents' friend, Vivian Silver is her name. She is a member of Kibbutz Be'eri. She is still missing. She's believed to be held hostage in Gaza. She is a longtime peace activist. She's dedicated her life to the peace movement. And we don't know where she is right now. They are still pulling bodies from Be'eri, and we're hoping that she's not one of them. She's a Canadian citizen, originally from Winnipeg, and my parents requested that I tell everyone to write to their MPs, write to your local government, write to your rabbi, write to everybody you know, and ask them to fight for this Canadian citizen, for all Israelis, but let them know there is a Canadian believed to be in Gaza, hopefully alive. Please let them know.
My colleagues Avi Yamini and Benji have flown to Israel during war to bring you reports you can trust about the atrocities committed by Hamas and Israel's response to them. To find out what's really happening in Israel and chip in to help us cover the modest travel expenses and adequate safety costs involved to bring you such reports, go to thetruthaboutthewar.com.